So this is a really interesting one actually, because if you would have asked me 2 years ago, or just whenever, to be honest, the when you go through your career, and especially in your kind of 20s, there was a point when I was doing my PhD at Sheffield, but also I launched a new business at the same time. And I must admit, I was kind of working crazy hours, but I was enjoying it and I was learning stuff and whatever. And then even as you go through and in your career and you do different stuff, you can always work hard. But I think it is a next level. It's a different type of pressure when it's your own business, because actually you're on all the time. You're always thinking about stuff. It could be ideas. It could be worrying about paying the bills. It could be your competitors. There's 100 kind of things that you think about. That actually it is a different gig to when you work for someone else. And I think the other thing, which I've had a few good chats with people this week as well, I think there's an extra pressure, because essentially when you're kind of talking to people and you're trying to win contracts and do whatever it is that you do, there is a major element of trust there, that you're quite literally putting your name and reputation on the line, that you always want that to be perfect, because inherently, that's the gig, that is what you're here to kind of to do. And I think because of that, with the roadmap, and as I've mentioned in previous weeks, when you actually fund both the production of something like this and all the graphic design and print of thousands of copies and a full-time YouTube studio and new website and branding, it's really expensive. So basically the way that I chose to do it was actually to self-fund it. So it was to, rather than go to the bank and take a loan and have the debt, or to basically go out and get venture capital or external finance, I decided that I wanted to go the route, even though it would take longer, to work hard doing the consultancy, because actually that's what people kind of pay me to do, earn the money and then spend it back, so that actually, touch some wood, at the end of this, say this financial year, I could have set up everything that I'm looking to have full kind of proof of concept, but actually without any of the negatives of having 50 grand's worth of debt, that I'd be worried about, or I'd given away 40% of the company or that kind of thing as well. So the way that I chose to do that, it was basically through consultancy. So that as of, well, last week, I had 4 kind of retained clients, and basically they would all pay me to do stuff every week, and I would balance all the roadmap stuff around that, if that makes sense. And the reason why I chose to prioritize other people's stuff for 80% of the week was quite literally to pay for everything. But then likewise, I also kind of enjoy it as well. But then with deadlines coming up, I guess with COVID and some of the new announcements, you have Christmas. I had a lot of deadlines for my own roadmap stuff, both shipping out the new copies, but then finishing off the new book and whatever. And it actually got to the point where the pressure to deliver everything at the same time, when it's only you that works in the business, it kind of built up and it did kind of get a bit much. And then it was just one of those things that, a few people kind of commented, my wife especially was almost just saying about how, taking a rest. And because actually that was the other side to it as well. Over the course of the year, I actually hadn't taken any holiday. Yes, the odd bits and bobs, but no actual like proper time off. And it was almost, it did come back to, kind of bite me in a way that, I'm normally pretty kind of, on it, but I was struggling to think straight. And it was a lot. And basically I was dealing with burnout. I'd just been pushing myself kind of too much. So I made some changes. I spoke to some of my clients. I've reduced back some of the work. I actually finished some of the projects, which I was kind of a little bit worried about. But it was almost how just the emotional pressure of delivering stuff can really kind of build up, and really kind of got to me. So it was just one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because there'll be other people out there that also feel exactly the same. And actually there was a post I put out last Friday, I think, which was just, my experience of this. And I think it's up to, a few tens of thousands of kind of views. And I think it's up to about 100 likes now as well. But it was almost just, I wanted to be honest about the process. In terms of my learnings, to almost try and get through it, and I'm still by no means a kind of, flying and perfect and whatever, but actually just the process. I think the first one is not to be too hard on yourself. I'm going to put self-love. Often people that, work for themselves, your own, actually this is true in anything, is, you're your own worst critic. And I think part of my problem was that I was worrying so much about what people thought and are they happy with the service and stuff, that actually it was just this emotional pressure that I guess kind of built up into anxiety. Workload is a massive one. So basically when you have a lot of stuff to do, makes sense, it builds up and it takes its toll. and it's just managing your workload. So actually, it's good to be busy. It's good that you have money coming in, but never take it past the point where it really kind of impacts you personally and your health and that kind of thing. That should always kind of come first. And then the rest one is kind of rest. So by rest, what I mean, it's not just sleep. One of the funny things that I think I was kind of guilty of is that if you read most kind of textbooks and articles and different kind of stuff, basically they talk about, oh yeah, get 8 or 9 hours of sleep, eat well, drink lots of water, exercise, that kind of thing. And I was doing all of those things. But the truth is, you actually need proper time off in terms of just headspace. So the post was all to do with, if you enjoy Netflix or playing Call of Duty on the Xbox or cycling or going for a walk or whatever it is that you just enjoy, like never feel guilty about actually doing it. What was the quote? It was time enjoyed wasted is never wasted time, I think. But it was the whole point of actually the brain does need time to actually turn off, so that you can't operate and you shouldn't operate all day, every day. And actually, even though some people might see it as unproductive time, I think it's really kind of important. So one of the things that I'm going to start doing a lot more is actually prioritizing stupid time where I'm not doing anything. And although that sounds really silly, the whole point is it's trying to get longevity to help me kind of perform at a high level for the next kind of 10 years and almost not burn out, if that makes sense. I'd love to know in the comments if you've ever kind of, suffered or felt anything like this yourself. It could be a kind of a short-term deadline, or I guess at uni, it's all to do with exams. And it's that balance of, I guess, when you know it's only for a short period, it's not too bad, you can kind of get through it. But almost with your career or your business, because in theory it could go on for 10 years, it's really important to kind of nib it in the bud and kind of, make a change early if you can. I'd love to know in the comments if any of you have ever kind of felt like this. This is just my own kind of experience. And then the other side to it as well, just being honest, is actually talking about it. I know it's one of the things that people always say, men especially, with, would we call it mental health? I guess we kind of would. Just talking about stuff that you're going through, that almost, not always trying to pretend or, pretend that, you're perfect. And actually, there are struggles and things that you deal with, because actually being willing to kind of talk about it will actually hopefully help people that might not be at that stage yet, but still, might listen or watch or interact or whatever as well.